Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and you good old boys from Canada. Man, do we still mention Canada, Big C? They have no teams participating for Lord Stanley's Cup, but they still know what we love more than you good old boys down south. In the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful May the 29th, 2018, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton, it's a beautiful, humid day down here as usual this time of the year. We're basking in the sunshine and rain.
Basking sunshine.
We're loving it. I don't even have to pay for a shower any longer.
Yeah, that's funny. You know how you, at some time as a young boy, you go over your neighbor's house, your parents send you to your neighbor's house to take a bath so you don't run up the water bill at home. And the neighbors don't know how to tell you no because they don't want you all stinky when you're in the house, so they let you get a shower because you can't go. You know how teenage boys, sometimes they need to wear some deodorant, and they don't always know that, Big C. So go to your neighbor's house. They always want to make sure you get clean. So much happening in the world of the sports universe. I mean, so many great things from NBA basketball. And I know a lot of people love NFL football and college, but NBA basketball is fantastic. We have a lot of things that have happened. The NHL down in Las Vegas, baseball swinging the bat for this beautiful Memorial Day weekend that we just got over. But Big C, there's a lot of things that also happen, politically. Now, there are a lot of people that say, sports and entertainment don't mix, but I noticed most of the baseball sports teams were saluting the military by wearing the uniforms. But even more deep than that, Big C, I saw a sitcom personality that I followed, Roseanne, Roseanne Barr. You can love her or hate her, but I feel guilty. I feel like I was hoodwinked. I know her show got canceled today because she had some negative things to say about Valerie Jarrett, who worked under the Obama administration. I just want to get your thoughts on what that means to you good old boys down south.
Well, Charlton, I'm not sure anybody should feel hoodwinked. Her rant about Valerie Jarrett on her Twitter account, and then come back saying that she apologized, that she spoke out of context. No, you spoke like you always speak.
Yeah.
And so what happens, this is that old scenario, what goes on behind closed doors, stay behind closed doors.
Yep.
People have gotten so brazen now with the president that they feel that they can make any comment just like he does.
Yeah.
Negativity. Now, ABC knew what Roseanne was several years ago when she was making anti-Muslim rants.
Yeah.
And they still brought her back on the air.
Yeah.
So I don't know why there was any surprise to people of her making this negative comment towards the former White House executive, Valerie Jarrett, calling her an ape. But, Roseanne has been Roseanne. Her show originally was based on bias and racism.
Yeah.
When you look at the comments that she would even make on air.
Yeah.
And even coming back, Charlton, she's done these same things. So for people to be surprised about Roseanne's antics, no, ABC wasn't surprised.
No.
I think because of the culture that has come about with the Me Too movement is the reason why. They really didn't want to do this because it's going to cost them some $45 million, Charlton, in profit that they were set to make off of this show, and even redoing it for next year based on its ratings.
Yeah.
So here's something that I'm not sure that the executive felt good about. They made a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, this is coming from the White House.
Yeah.
Every day. Bullying in America, racism in America, from our administration. She got raised from the president after her first week on air of 18 million viewers.
I saw that.
So she's a follower of his, he's a follower of hers. So she's just following what the guy that she loves is doing.
I just want to ask the Me Too movement, because we've always advocated for women to have, opportunities in the workforce. And for a lot of people, especially for a Caucasian woman to be so ignorant of what black Americans did to make it even possible for white American women to enter the workforce. And then to say that the black woman was an ape, I just want everyone around the world, in fact, everyone around the universe, to Google something. There's two names, Google Dr. Louis S.B. Leakey. He's considered the foremost paleontologist in the world. Studied bones where life began. And then Google Dr. Gregory Mendel. And when you think about it, he's considered the world's top scientist, the late Gregory Mendel. And they all opine that life came from Africa. So if all life came from Africa, and dark skin can reproduce light skin, but light skin cannot reproduce dark skin, where do white people come from? That's science. And I think if more people knew this fact, they would respect their root a little better. If you knew that all life started on the African continent, no matter what color you are, and we ask everyone to please Google it. Don't get mad. Don't even question it. Just Google where life began and study those two scientists I gave you. You can do it on your phone. If we knew where we all came from, maybe you'd respect your root a little bit. I want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. So Big C, when we tell people don't be ignorant, and I feel bad because I used to watch Roseanne. Maybe I used to watch Archie Bunker too. I used to watch the Jeffersons back in the day. And they all had some of that cutting edge, kind of that pseudo-racist satire, but they always had some equal time, I think. On Archie Bunker, they had the young college kid who they considered liberal. I call egalitarian. And then the Jeffersons have their own spin on race behavior. So I want to get your thoughts, though, because you're in the South, where it's not just talk. You guys have seen a lot of that behavior. And just give me your thoughts on what that means going forward in media, Big C, your thoughts.
Charlton, I don't know if it means anything going forward in media. I mean, every now and then, the media makes a sacrificial lamb out of somebody. Okay, you know, you look at Bill O'Reilly, he was a sacrificial lamb on sexual harassment charge. You look at Matt Lauer, he was a sexual harassment charge also, and a sacrificial lamb. But Charlton, we don't see it in droves. You're going to tell me it's only a couple people doing that? You fire Roseanne Barr. Think about how many of those people have made these racist rants, Charlton, off air. Yeah. Over the years, over the decades, even in the past 3 or 4 years, Charlton. They're consistently made. Not until something is brazen enough to go out in social media is there a reaction.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't touch social media, you have job security. You can be as racist and as biased and as sexist as you want, Charlton.
Yeah.
But if you let it slip and get out in social media, now we have to, correct it.
Yeah.
And by terminating you. But you're going to tell me that this is the first time, like I said, she made all these Muslims rants 3 or 4 years, back in 2013, as be a matter of fact.
Yeah.
That she was very public about this. You're going to tell me that Matt Lauer, that was his first time? It goes back to the Olympics in Rio and even beyond that.
Yeah.
Bill O'Reilly, for decades on television. I mean, many television personalities have done this. Even with Bill Cosby, how we saw it stretched back over decades, Charlton.
Yeah.
And not just him, but everybody else. Harvey Weinstein, as long as he's been powerful in Hollywood, his lawyer tried to say, well, this is the casting couch of Hollywood. Okay, so you're going to say that Hollywood is a toxic arena, that you need to go arrest every director? That's what his lawyer said.
Yeah.
You need to go arrest every white director in Hollywood because this is what they do. They force young women into this precarious situation, Charlton. So when I look at Roseanne, It's like the president. You elected a reality star. So when did you expect for life to be real in the White House? And with Roseanne, when you knew that she had a racist tyrant background, did you think she was going to change all of a sudden because you put her back on television? The thing that you have to look at, Charlton, you can change somebody's environment.
Yes.
But the only thing that's changed is the environment. The person is still the same.
You know, when I think about that, Big C, and we all love sports and talk about sports and politics, she actually at a time sang the national anthem, desecrated the song, and then she did what Trump does. She grabbed her crotch as if to say, F you to the audience or F you to the flag, and she happens to be one of Donald Trump's favorite comedians. Think about that. When you look at the NFL stance.
That was at a San Diego Padres game, Charlton, when she did that. And she was booed by the crowd. But this is also one of the people, as you say, that the president loves and respects.
Yeah.
She disrespected the flag. She disrespected the military. I have not heard for one cry for Roseanne Barr to leave this country or be fired other than today for her actions.
And she, that's a good point that I love it because I love to read a lot. And I don't like dumb people. I'll just say that. That's not an anathema to people who are dumb, but you're only dumb if you don't read. Sometimes I'm dumb because I haven't read enough about things. So I got to educate myself on things too. So I'm not saying anything to young kids or grown folks that we don't advocate everyone do. But I want people, especially mainstream, and I want to speak specifically to mainstream because for so long this has just been part of that good old boy network that most black men don't even know exists because they're on their P's and Q's when you're around. And most black women don't know it exists because on their P's and Q's. But the white society, mainstream, that can stop it, the ones that know it exists, but they tacitly consent to it by saying nothing. I want to just paint the scenario. For the men that still condone Trump, and what just Rosie O'Donnell just did, Roseanne Barr, Roseanne Barr just did. Imagine when you have your newborn child, and you birth that baby out of the womb, and in a couple of days, the doctor said your baby is good enough to go home, healthy enough to go home. Well, as you're putting that baby in the car seat, you make sure the baby's secure. That's your pride and joy. You thank God for having a newborn child. Now imagine some man coming along, if it's a daughter, and grabbing her by the vagina. What would you do to that man? Well, you might say, oh, I'd beat the heck out of him, right? But you believe all the mainstream guys that still stand behind him proudly in the White House and say, this is our guy, he's our leader? How many of you men would stand there while he grabs your newborn baby by the vagina? Okay, maybe she's 30 years old, maybe she's 20. It doesn't change the fact that he did it. But he still doesn't get damnation by the people that stand behind him. Paul Ryan included. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a guy who backed the pedophile in Alabama running for the state senate, and he was still backed by his base. So you have to understand the mentality of the Trump base, that, you follow the leader. So you have this in your background also. When you look at these people, that they're acceptable of that type of deviant behavior. You can't not be anti-Trump and condone this type of behavior, Jonathan.
Yeah.
But to be for Trump, you have to condone this type of behavior. I mean, those people, Charlton, have to look at themselves in the mirror.
Paul Ryan?
Say, what type of ethics do I have?
Yeah.
Do I possess as a person? Do I cherish other human beings?
Yeah.
For having their sanctity and sanity? But no, I don't, if I'm a Trump supporter, because I revel in what Trump talks about. When he talks about grabbing women inappropriately, when he talks about paying to have an extramarital affair, $130.
$130,000. Hold on, Big C. He wrote some extra zeros. You said 130. No, he paid 130,000.
I was talking about for a second.
Okay.
I was talking about for a second. Pays $130 per second. Because he lasted 4 minutes, so you got to do the math.
Okay.
4 minutes, $130 a second. So, this is what we're looking at with an individual like that. And you praise him.
Yeah.
CNN had a special one night after one of his speakings, where they had this group of women down in Texas.
Oh my God, the Calvinists.
And they wanted these women. They believe him wholeheartedly, but these are the type of Southern women that have been kept in the house and can't say anything. They walk behind their man, not with their man. It goes back to Tammy Wynette's song, Stand behind your man, or what it was.
Yeah.
But they let this.
Hold on, Big C. Big C. I can't let you.
Discredited the women.
Big C. I can't let you up the hook. You just dropped a note. I want you to sing "Stand by Your Man." Don't say, sing it, Big C. I know you got the voice. I know you sing that song, but I just want to, that point that you made, and for men, especially the ones who have daughters, and we want to defend our daughters. Roseanne Barr, I feel bad because I used to watch her show, so I kind of feel like a knucklehead because, sometimes you do things you gotta repent, you gotta atone for. So I feel like an ignorant person today because I used to watch her show, back in the day. I haven't much watched the new one, but that's my fault, that's my bad. But I want to say for ABC News to do what they did today, and the networks to let that go, think about this too. And I don't mean to cut you off, Bixie, I'll let you make your point again. as you think about what they did, it took a woman. They put a black woman out in front to make the firing happen. Big C. I just wanted to touch on that. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, Charlton, they can put her out in front, but what's inappropriate is inappropriate. And I know you say you feel bad about watching the show years ago. How can you? Because this information wasn't put in front of you. It's like I've done work with Bill Cosby. I don't feel bad about doing that work with Bill Cosby because it was the work that I did, Charlton.
Yeah.
It wasn't the actions that I did with him or anything. So I wasn't a part of that. The work was just the work end of it.
Yeah.
That's it. So you can't say you feel bad about watching someone on television because at the time that was the consensus of America to watch it because it was humorous, it was entertaining.
Yes.
That's what you were looking at. You didn't have social media to tell you what type of person that she was.
No.
It really came out what type of person she was when she tried singing the national anthem and disgracing America at a San Diego Padres game, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, not only did she scream and yell during the national anthem, desecrating the song, Charlton, but she spat on the ground. So she spat on American heroes.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about it, you want to say Colin Kaepernick kneeling was disrespectful, go pull up. Everybody has the Google on the phone.
Yeah.
Here it is, as you talked about, she's grabbing her crotch and spitting on the ground while she's supposed to be celebrating America.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick never did that, Charlton. Colin Kaepernick hadn't got a second chance like Roseanne.
And she got a job
never
anyway.
Never denigrated the flag nor the military like Roseanne Barr did. But she was celebrated by the President of the United States for her denigration and desecration of the American flag, Charlton.
Yeah, I mean, today, I just feel like our country is going in a positive direction because things like that is now considered anathema to equality. Before, but just consider, hey, well, as long as nobody knows, and it's in a certain mainstream society, even mainstream doesn't chastise it. She had like 20 million viewers, mainstream women that saw her desecrate the American flag, but they still watch her program. And even Disney. You think about Disney Park. If you've ever been to a Disney park anywhere in this country, this is about progress. There was a time that Disney would not allow African Americans to enter their theme parks. I'm talking about in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now, things aren't that way anymore because people put pressure against it. They put pressure against bigotry. And I appreciate the fact that they did that today. So, you know, it's just a shame that so many people knew she was like that. She still got a job. I want to touch on one more thing that I think is important. I know a lot of people drink coffee. They don't have that Vibranium coffee, Big C, that you good old boys got down south. Wait until they start getting some of Big C's coffee with the Vibranium frosting on top of it, Big C. You have lines around the universe trying to get in to get some of that coffee, Big C. I want to look at Howard Schultz, the good old boy that owns Starbucks. I actually admire what he did today. I know a lot of people were saying, well, it's just a day, and it's just a day that's going to go by like the blink of an eye. But at least that man, and I don't agree with what he did, but he did something about what he thought was in his heart. How they had Starbucks closed today so they could have racial sensitivity training today. Happened to be the same day that ABC fires the robot Roseanne Barr from her show because they also wanted to use this day to say, no, that's not acceptable. Give me your thoughts on the Starbucks thing. I thought they would have made more progress had they had people keep the stores open, people could work, and you could also maybe have a way of greeting people saying everybody's included here, just like they have cream in the coffee. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they semi-closed the doors. Let's be realistic. They didn't shut down for that morning rush, okay? They was not going to let all that money go by the wayside.
Yeah.
They shut down for 4 hours today. 4 hours to say we're going to have racial sensitivity training for 4 hours. And in that 4 hours, you will forget everything that you've had about racial divisiveness in America because we're going to show you some videos of blacks being profiled, blacks being beaten, blacks being arrested. This is what we're going to show you. This is our racial sensitivity. We're going to show you news clips. We're going to show you YouTube clips, Dalton.
Yeah.
Things that everybody has seen already. This is what you did. You did nothing to show racial sensitivity training.
Yeah.
What they should have did, Charlton, was shut down the White House for the day.
Ain't that something?
Racial sensitivity training. That's what needed to be shut down. And take all of those people from the leader on and say, okay, we don't understand what's going on in America. We need to sit down and learn.
Yeah.
And until you do that, Charlton, I mean, Starbucks, yes, it's a leg forward. That's all they did, put one leg forward, nothing else. one leg forward. Because this incident occurred 3 months ago that should not have occurred.
Yeah.
That you cannot sit down in an establishment waiting on a member of your party without getting arrested. And sadly enough, Starbucks, Charlton, is just a scapegoat because it still happens every day in America.
So was that...
There's a minority where the police is called on them for being a minority in America. It just happens.
So
and, it goes away, Charlton,
Yeah.
as quickly as we see it on television, as quickly as we hear about it. It is over with. America doesn't care. That's the thing about it, Charlton. Because look at when Rodney King happened, Charlton,
Yeah.
back in the 90s, early 90s. It has only escalated from there. And it was going on long before Rodney King. So every incident that we've seen on video, Charlton,
Yeah.
from an African-American man being beaten by 12 police officers, from an African-American man being shot by 4 or 5 police officers.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the landscape, Charlton, because it doesn't happen to them.
No,
Okay?
yeah.
That's the bottom line. And I'm not being racist, but until something happens to you, it's not going to change. It's just like today, Charlton. A new video game was, put out there with advertising. It's supposed to be released soon. Showing school shootings. This is the new call to fire. That they're going to release a video game in the next week or two that pictures school shooting. If anyone knows the Call of Duty video game where they did it in the Middle East, based on the Middle Eastern War, now they have one based on school shootings, going down the hall,
That's
shooting
horrible.
at students in the classrooms,
That's horrible.
shooting at the police approaching. This is what America has come to. Now, they'll have the disclaimer on there saying that, we're not, telling you to do this. This is only a dramatization, nothing real. Don't go out and try to depict this. But, Charlton, this is where America is.
Yeah.
Is that this is the land of the free, land of the brave, land that you can kill people when you want, depending on the color, and get away with it.
That's
This is
yeah.
where we are. We've had school shootings, 23 this year. 23. Is anybody talking about school shootings anymore, Tom?
No.
Think about all the young athletes that have lost their lives. Okay? Think about just the children in general that have lost their lives. Teachers that have lost their lives. No one cares, Charlton. As much as we want them to, and as much as we'll keep talking about it because we do care,
Yeah.
until the president and the Congress and the Senate can sit down and have a consortium saying, we're not taking it anymore.
Yeah.
We were elected to protect American citizens from violence and carnage. That is our civic duty, and we're going to uphold that. But instead, Charlton, they take money from the NRA and any other group that has that 6-digit paper bag that they want to drop in their office
Yep.
and hold in that direction.
Yeah, that's again today. Just seeing so much happen in the world of the sports universe that was so positive all over the world. So the thing, and I want to get your thought on this too, because a lot of athletes drink coffee. Back in the day, we talk about guys with HGH and how the sports leagues say we don't want you, sitting for the national anthem, but you can pump your body full of steroids and opioids and all kind of hormones to make you get bigger, stronger, and faster. Well, back in the day, the days that we had the great, Babe Ruth playing, they were doing other things to keep their body hyped up. They would drink lots of coffee, or they would have other things too to make their body more hyped up
Charlton,
and more
they
reactive.
used cocaine in the days of Babe Ruth playing. Cocaine had not been banned in the U.S.
Yeah.
Neither had marijuana. So both of those were substances that were used by those athletes of the day, and that was mainly Major League Baseball.
Really?
They use that, Charlton. They don't publicize it now. But you got to realize even Coca-Cola, Charlton, used cocaine as part of its byproduct. It was actual cocaine in Coca-Cola that was a stimulant that was in it up until several decades ago.
Yes.
So all of these people in America had access to cocaine, especially athletes when you're playing doubleheaders, back-to-back games, Charlton, tired. They had access to marijuana, which was legal during Babe Ruth's era,
Yes.
as well as cocaine.
That's interesting. I know a lot of times talking to people about how to make it and how to do well in society and how do we take sports and galvanize our great country, America is a great country, but it doesn't mean it's easy. Just like in any relationship, you're going to have some friction as you meet new people, and sometimes people say that everything will fall into place. You just got to be patient and trust God and pray, and that's all good. But what I love about what happened today, and you brought it up, Big C, and I don't want to take it lightly, because we can't leave it up to the young people to fix things. We got to be the adults in society. In fact, the adults who are not afraid. And as even today, Big C Sports is the only sports show, and you can Google it. There might be someone that talked about it for 30 seconds about what happened with Roseanne Barr and her anathema to not only African Americans, but to her own self. You think about this. I asked you to Google Dr. Louis S.B. Leakey and Gregor Mendel. Google them. One of the world's most foremost scientists and paleontologists. They opine that all life came from Africa. And why is that important? Because there's only one race of human beings on this planet. We have different skin melanin. But if you knew where your root came from, maybe you would respect your root a little better. So the ignorance that's been spread about mainstream is that some of them do think that there's two races of people. There's only one, the human race. But there is one genetic source. And it's a dominant and a recessive trait in that genetic source. That's Mendel. Google it. Read about science, okay? And if you understand that, why would you want to kill your father? Why would you want to massively incarcerate your father? Why would you want to massively incarcerate your great-grandparents, but you love them when they have a uniform on playing sports? And I hope they spread that all throughout mainstream schools, because when people want to look at Ancestry.com, if you understand Science.com, we all came from the same source, from the African continent. Google that. I beg you to Google it. You're not going to hear that anyplace else. So as we close out on that, Big C, I want to apologize to Valerie Jarrett. As an African-American woman, and President Obama and all the hate mail that he got as President of the United States and this great country, the land of the free and the home of the brave, that bigot in the White House, Donald Trump, was one of the main ones that perpetuated that xenophobia and that anathema against African Americans by attacking the leader. And you know it's true, mainstream, you know it. So when some of them stand up there and they closely stand by and pat him on the back, and would you do that if he was touching your grandchild that just came home in the hospital? Or would you turn your back on that too? And I just think it's a shame that we have that garbage that people are clamoring to all over this country and thinking that's the base. If that's the base, then quit talking about in God we trust and being a Christian nation. Big C, that has to hit home to people like Paul Ryan and all the other bigots that stand behind him. If you're not a bigot, then denounce it. If you denounce Roseanne Barr, why can't you denounce what Donald Trump's doing? Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's a matter of good old boys being good old boys. Like I said, when he backed Roy Moore, a known pedophile, running for Senate in the state of Alabama, you got to realize his entire base believed in that, Charlton.
Yeah.
All his backing in Washington believed in that, in the Senate and in the Congress, because they didn't denounce Roy Moore, nor did the president denounce Roy Moore. So you have to understand that Republican senators, Republican congressmen, they backed the pedophile also. So when you say denounce the president and you think like the president, it's not going to happen, Charlton.
That's a shame, though. I mean, if he was a black man, you know they would have denounced him a long time ago. But that garbage, when you're mainstream, and it's for you mainstream, the Me Too movement especially, that black Americans fought and died for, so all women could enter the workforce and vote, and white women went to the front of the line, and you know that. But you don't even denounce this hatred, this anathema in the White House. It's anathema to the Constitution. I just think that's so important. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, or a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. So coming off of the beautiful Memorial holiday, and for all of the Americans that gave their lives for this great country, I'm sure they didn't do it just so we could talk about who won the game. Big C, did you see the game? Did you see how many points this guy scored? You see how many home runs this guy hit? Man, did you see how many strikeouts that guy had? I'm sure they were deeper than that. So as you saturate yourself on those sports programs, and that's all they tell you. It's like going to a restaurant and they only give you potatoes. Okay, they give you French fries. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but if that's all you are as a human being, if that's all you want to grow your mind, hey, let me tell you who won the game, how big and strong this guy is. What a waste of airspace in your brain. Big C, one more thought on Memorial Day, what it meant to you.
Well, Charlton, it meant remembrance for me. It meant respect for me. This is what you do. Did you pay homage to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, Charlton, and even those who are still around? Is that a day of respect for these fine men and women of the U.S. and around the world, Charlton, that have all sacrificed greatly for that day to exist, Charlton? But, you know, when we look at the world of sports and how it intertwines with that, Charlton,
yes,
sports tries to pay respect and homage to the veterans.
Yeah.
But they only look at one day, Charlton. As we spoke about earlier, there's a homeless veteran every day in America.
Yeah.
In every city that there's a professional sporting team. But there's no stadium, Charlton. There's no arena that has this free section for these veterans.
Nope.
Just open up a dozen seats. That's all it takes, 20 seats. You're going to tell me that financially you cannot take that hit to invite veterans to every game that you have? Baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, anything, Charlton. That whether it's a college sport, whether it's a pro sport, you're going to tell me you're so much of a money monger that you can't open your door to a veteran to give him a peace of mind for a couple of hours, Charlton. Give him a free hot dog. Give him a free soft drink, a libation, whatever.
Yeah.
But let him come in and feel American again, Charlton. To feel respected for the services that they have done for this country. We have all these billionaires. They can't spare a few seats on any and every game, day and night, Charlton, for these deserved veterans of the U.S.
That's, Dixie, that would be so wonderful. It's like the song back in the day, I think it was by the great Jeffrey Osborne. It's called A Room with a View. I got a room with a view. Okay, when I look at you, let people go look at the game. I know a lot of people that sat in the seats and watched the games. A lot of them are half full. A lot of these stadiums are half full. You know why? Because they don't understand what Big C does. When you walk into one of Big C's restaurants, he gives you a sip of shine and you relax. And when you relax, you tend to spend more money. Big C, is that why you give him a free sip of shine, or does the Mr. Phil's cookie?
No, Charlton. I want them to feel at home.
Okay.
You don't get charged for a drink at home, okay? So that first one's on me.
So that's true. And we're not being flippant about it. Las Vegas does it too. When you sit down at one of their establishments, they offer to bring you something because they want to get you relaxed and make you feel warm. It'd be nice if the military had, at least if you had 1,000 seats or 100 seats, a lot of them are empty anyway, given to the military. That would be really important. Big C, I want to go and look at what happened with your friend Serena Williams. I tell you, there's something about her. She was her first round match in her return to the French Open. This comes at the time that Roseanne Barr makes a horrible statement about Valerie Jarrett, another African-American woman. Now, don't think that Serena Williams hasn't faced that same racial anathema. She has. A lot of people have. But they power it through anyway. And so, again, I apologize to every woman of color, especially the mothers and grandmothers, that can see someone like Roseanne Barr get a job on ABC News or ABC TV program with her racial anathema. And it didn't even hurt her until it got to the point where it was on Twitter and they couldn't deny it was there. But Serena Williams, in search for her 24th Grand Slam, talk about how dominant and how strong she is, because she's also had to overcome a lot of that same hatred that's unspoken about. Dixie, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's just like the tale of two countries, and we're talking about the French Open. Let me take it a step further on the French Open, then I'll come back to it. French President Macron called a citizen. They call him the human Spider-Man. Over the weekend, Charlton, he scaled 4 stories up a burning building to rescue a child.
Oh, I saw that.
Challenging his own life, Charlton, putting it in peril. Did not care. Went up to save this child's life. and I'm going to compare that here to the U.S. President Macron of France invited this man in so he could personally thank him.
Yeah.
And welcome him. And he was not even a native French, Charlton.
No.
He was a foreigner. But the president is going to fast-track this man to citizenship because he didn't care about not being a French citizen. He cared about being a human being first, Charlton.
That's beautiful.
Now, you parallel that to our country, where we have a president who is trying to kick out foreigners, saying that they don't contribute, Charlton, that they're only thieves, liars, and murderers. That's what our president says. He doesn't give people a chance. He does not look at people for people's self-worth.
Yes.
If you don't have the complexion that he has, well, complexion of people he knows, because there's not many orange people in America. But that shows you the difference in leadership quality around the world versus what we have in this country.
Yeah.
But back to Serena Williams, Charlton.
Yes.
This is the first time in just under 500 days that she's played in a Grand Slam. The Australian Open was the last Grand Slam that she played in prior to giving birth.
Yeah.
She's in search of her 24th Grand Slam championship, Charlton, which would tie her for number one all time.
She's amazing.
This lady, when you think about what she is going back to and where she is, think about all the mothers in the world.
Yep.
And that's, I think, what Serena is really standing for now. Not just the women, but all the mothers in the world, Charlton, to come back and be competitive.
Yeah.
After giving birth to a child and coming back and being on the main stage, Charlton, working hard at a craft that has propelled you to greatness in society and in the world.
Yeah.
But this is for all mothers, that you don't have to give up. You know, just because you have a family, is that your dreams are still alive, that you can succeed beyond all odds, Charlton.
Yeah.
And I respect Serena because she is standing head and shoulders above the crowd for women of America and the world.
You know, that is so powerful, and I love how you pay respect to her, Big C, because I go back to, again, how entering any workforce is competitive. But mainstream knows, and this is just one of the dumbest people on the planet, the civil rights movement was started by African Americans. You could say Rosa Parks had the main name on it, but there were a lot of people that were not as well known that helped start that. But as a black woman, she's still famous today because of her refusal to be treated less than human, less than a first-class citizen, and not giving up her seat on the bus. And I look at some of the things that have happened. There's a lot of good people in mainstream that have done a lot of good things for people all over the world. I'm not saying that everybody African American is egalitarian and perfect. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that in the sports business, to see someone like Serena Williams and this diaspora of whiteness and these country clubs that have anathema for people of color, and you know it's true, especially if you're part of those clubs, but for them to fight through that with the help of their father, her and Venus, I'm really proud of what she's become. And no matter what color you are on this planet, we told you, Google Dr. Mendel and Dr. Leakey, okay? Gregory Leakey and Dr. Gregory Mendel and Leakey. They opined that life came from Africa. And she has that same look that's been marginalized all over the United States. And even I've heard some of my mainstream people, sometime at a sports bar, saying, yeah, but she's not, whatever their racist slant was. All people are beautiful. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm proud that they've fought through all that. Gregory Mendel, Louis Leakey, Google them. So congratulations, Serena. And for the women who've just given birth, or you're trying to give birth, or whatever it is, you can still come back and be on top if you get the opportunity. So congratulations again to her. Big C, I want to look at the NHL. I look at your friends, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and what they've done to pursue Lord Stanley's Cup. I know they can't wait to get their hand on that vibranium that the Golden State Warriors were drinking last night. Some guys are still drunk in love. Remember that song Beyonce sang? It's called Drunk in Love. Okay, I don't sing like Beyonce, but I don't want Jay-Z to get mad. I'm just paying homage to her, okay? But the song Drunk in Love, they're drunk on vibranium last night. But I want to get your thoughts on Las Vegas Golden Knights. We talked about it last week. what it means to that city that's been through such tragedy. Just want to get your thoughts, Big C. They're 3 games away from winning Lord Stanley's Cup, and they did not even exist last year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there's a world on the shoulders of that city. But they have the NHL shaking in its boots, Charlton. Can you imagine what owners that have been in franchises in the NHL and have not been in the Stanley Cups for decades, Charlton?
Yeah.
You think about teams like Toronto, where we talk about not having a Canadian team in the NHL finals. Winnipeg, who was a game short of getting there, Charlton. We look at Montreal, who has not made their presence felt in a long, long time.
Yes.
So, Charlton, when we think about these flagship franchises, we think about the franchises in New York, the flagship city of America.
Yes.
Even the LA Kings. Think about how all these owners right now are feeling, Charlton, that a team that didn't exist a year ago is now 3 games away from hoisting the Stanley Cup. They've made investments over the years, Charlton, of millions and millions of dollars. But what you have in Las Vegas is they call misfits. Cast-offs from those teams, Charlton.
Yeah.
All those teams right now that are upset. These are their cast-offs.
Yes.
If you've been in a restaurant, you know they scrape the scraps off the table at the end of your meal.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what these teams did to these players.
Hold on, Z. Are you giving us an idea of when we come to Big C's restaurant, that we go to Big C, when we get the appetizer, you're saying the stuff that was scraped off the table? Is that what you're trying to tell us, Big C? Maybe I don't hear too well, but I know I heard something about scraping tables, Big C.
Well, what I'm saying is that all these owners are upset right now.
Yeah.
They also felt that these players were not good enough to be in their organization, Charlton.
Yes.
So they put them out there in the dispersal draft. They dispersed them. They got rid of them. They were the garbage going out at the end of the night. That's what they looked at. And now they're sitting here, and these guys are about to slide on the glass slipper, Charlton.
Yeah.
And you can't be more proud for these players, being a former athlete, to have an opportunity to potentially or even win a championship, Charlton. Many players toil their entire career and never get to that championship game. You think about Alexander Ovechkin. This is his first run at the Stanley Cup, Charlton.
He's amazing.
He has scored over 600 goals in his NHL career and finally getting a shot at the Stanley Cup being down 0-1.
Yes.
But when you look at that game last night, Charlton, it was a marvelous game. Each team scored in all 3 periods, Charlton. It's just Vegas had just a little bit more on a questionable goal call.
Yeah.
But they won at home.
Well, you
now,
said
we all understand you can play some bet in Vegas, can you? I know the Supreme Court can't it's still legal in Vegas, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And we talked about people making calls and not making calls.
Yeah.
I don't know if they wear striped jerseys or not. I'm just saying they don't make calls and not make calls.
Hey.
But when a game is being played in Vegas, and calls are not being made or made, sometimes you question things. But, I want to say congratulations out to the Golden Knights, Charlton, for a marvelous Game 1 victory in search of Lord Stanley's Cup.
Yes.
And I want to see them make history, Charlton. It's not often in life, when you're a sports fan, that you get a chance to witness history.
Yeah.
And this is a piece of history. And people think, and I did some research, and I guess I shouldn't read, but ironically, the new news people on all these sports programs that, have come about over the past couple of decades, that weren't born at this time. Everyone said that Vegas was the first inaugural franchise to make it to a championship. Ironically, I even thought that myself. But doing a little research, they're the third, Charlton. 50 years ago, there was a team that did it. 100 years ago, there was a team. So every 50 years, Charlton, there's an expansion franchise that has made the championship run.
That is very beautiful said, Big C. And so I appreciate all the great people all over this country. From, I'm proud of ABC getting rid of Roseanne Barr, because where I grew up, when someone spills garbage, you take the garbage out. You don't bring it back to the dinner table. But they brought her back to the dinner table. I mean, when you read about her, if you people Google enough about Donald Trump's background, they'll realize he's also garbage. Google Just Google the Central Park Five if you're a dumb lover of what his anathema is to this country. Okay, Google it. But I want to look at something last night, and I asked people to Google everything because I think if we Google like Walter Cronkite, you can separate the people who do things in the night that could be done in the daytime. Like there's daytime, there's nighttime. Some people come out at night. Like they'll say things that you say on your show, like the Stephen A. Smith, and there's another gentleman that was mentioning calling athletes lions. They got some lions in their team. Only Big C Sports talks that way. They didn't give us credit because it's called plagiarism. We acknowledge everybody we talk about, okay? You can Google it. I want you to also Google this. Last night we talked about for the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. You can Google what Big C Sports said on Friday. We told you if you pay attention to the game, watch the fouls, okay? We told you that, and you can Google it because we told you the fouls would determine a lot about what happened in this game. In the first 2 minutes, Klay Thompson had 2 fouls, Big C. How do we know that? And in the first 7 minutes, he was out of the first period. How do we know that, Big C? I'm not saying we have any more knowledge than other people do, but Google that we told you that, and you won't hear that on other sports programs. They were telling you about whatever they thought they wanted you to hear. But if you want the truth, there's 2 kind of people. I'm not saying we're perfect, but people who tell you the truth, they want you to Google what they say. They want you to search that what they do, Wolf Blitzer does. You know, they keep it real, they fact check it. Well, we say Google it, same thing. But we told you the fouls would not be called evenly. And last night, Vegas tried to make this game even. And they succeeded. They took out Klay Thompson, who was the one that was tough for Harden to shoot over. Big C, were we just guessing, or did we happen to know a little bit about what we're talking about? Your thoughts?
Charlton, sometimes it's just being able to read, okay? And read what you see and believe in what you know. And we've informed people about that. When they talk about advantages, disadvantages in the game, we talked about the differential at the foul line.
Yep.
In the previous games, Charlton, that the more physical team was getting away with the fouls, no calls. But the other team, the more athletic team, was getting all the foul calls.
Yeah.
They had more players laying on the floor than they were getting with the fouls.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, Charlton, this is a situation that occurred last night, is that they tried to play with the Warriors. And people don't understand how great this Warriors defense is. Everybody's always talked about the Warriors offense. But when you think about this, Charlton, this was a 7-game series. In 4 of those games, Charlton, the Rockets didn't score 90 points.
I know it.
Think about that. In 4 of the 7 games, the Rockets, one of the highest scoring teams in the NBA, averaged over 100 points a game during the season, did not score 90 points. So don't look at the Golden State offense. It is what everybody else was looking at.
Yeah.
Look at the defense that they play.
Well,
they force you to play out of your element, Charlton.
Yeah.
And you think about when they start knocking down threes, you had everybody on Houston wanting to try to knock down the three.
Yeah.
They had James Harden realistically. Everybody else is like you hold your breath. They went 0 for 27, Charlton, in the second half on three-point shots.
Yeah.
0 for 27.
Yeah. And
I can beat you if you go 0 for 27.
You sure can, Big C. What they still haven't realized, they got a lion on their team. But the league is meant for stars. It's not meant for teamwork. The guy they should have learned to feed all season long, his name is Capella. He's about 7 feet tall. He reminds me of a young Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. That's what he reminds me of. You watch how he plays. Why wasn't he fed the ball more often? Oftentimes when he got the ball, there was about 5 seconds left in the shot clock. Why? Because they're more interested in feeding stars than feeding the lions in their team. And lions eat. The guy was eating all night. They couldn't stop him. The only way they could stop him was late in the game where Kerr went to the hacker, hacker Capella. They started hacking him, making him go to the foul line. But Shaq was the same kind of player. The Lakers would feed Shaq so much he would get about 30 points a game. They had Kobe. They had some other dynamic players, but they fed their lion. They fed him. Why didn't Houston feed Capella more? They kept trying to shoot threes, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, the marketability of this team, Charlton, is about James Harden. And that's what the championship comes down to, is marketability. When you had Capella and you had no answer for him defensively, you took him out of the game. You forced him to come outside the paint to get the ball. Where down on the post, Charlton, there was no answer from Golden State for him. He's going to elevate above everybody else. It's just like trying to.
How come D'Antoni doesn't know that though? How come D'Antoni doesn't know you got the guy that's the most dominant athlete in the game when they got him the ball with about 15 seconds to go on the shot clock, not with 5. And
we can blame a coach. I mean, just like we blame Brad Stevens for not calling timeout and losing to Cleveland when Boston was eliminated.
Yeah.
We're going to blame D'Antoni, and everybody's going to go after him. But you can't force a guy to take the ball out of his hands when he's dribbling.
Yeah.
When he has his head down. And he knows he's being highlighted on and talked about by the announcers.
Yeah.
Waiting on him to make a dramatic move and break somebody down, cross him over, take a step back.
Yeah.
And take a jump shot. You built up guys' ego so much that they forgot how to be team players. That's what's wrong with the modern game. And we talked about that prior to Game 7. It was going to be the team that won that did not wait to 10 seconds or less to get the ball out of the primary dribbler's hand and get a teammate involved.
Yeah.
We saw that last night evolve, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, Houston kept dribbling the ball. Now, you think about it. You missed 27 consecutive three-point shots. At what point are you penetrating the lane?
Yeah.
What point are you feeding a young lion inside the paint to get him around the rim?
Yeah.
At what point are you even going to the rim yourself? But you missed 27 consecutive three-point shots.
Yeah.
That's a lot of one-on-one basketball, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's not team basketball. That's how you get your butt blown out.
At home. There's something about the number 3, and they kept trying to shoot 3. You know, even the announcer said, threes can make you or threes can break you. And they got to understand they had a guy that was unstoppable, and they stopped going to him because they got caught up in how do we help some guy become the MVP. I want to get your thoughts on something that happened that maybe a lot of people don't know about, and we're all in media, brethren. We just have our own opinions. But you notice that the TNT crew, especially Charles Barkley, who I know he's supposed to be a non-biased, broadcaster, announcer. I know he's mostly there for comedy, not necessarily for information. But he was so biased in the call for Houston. Maybe he spent a lot of time down in Vegas, from what my friends told me, Big C. But none of the Golden State Warriors would even talk to the TNT crew. They have to go get Coach Kerr. Because guys know when you're not being fair. And they know when sometimes you spend a lot of time in Vegas. And I'm just going to get your thoughts on that, Big C. Why wouldn't the players come out and talk to the TV crew that did their game, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, as you said, they were unfairly treated by guys. That happens. I mean, all players do that. It happened back in the days when I was playing. Is that if you were unjustly talked about by the media, you didn't feel that you had to have a conversation with this person after your work. You say, hey, I'm unavailable for comment at the moment. It's easy to do that, Charlton. They may get fined by the NBA for not giving, going out doing a press conference, Charlton, but when you're beat down by somebody enough, the greatest thing you do in a response is show that they were wrong.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about it. Just show that they were wrong. Now who has to explain?
Yeah.
That person that banded you has to explain why you were victorious.
Yeah.
And not the loser that they predicted you to be, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing that you can do to
Yeah.
And then you don't give him a chance to respond to what you would say.
Yeah.
He has to respond to what he said earlier.
Yeah.
So they did what they needed to do. They went out and took care of business.
Yes.
They served notice on the guy that said they couldn't take care of business if they were done.
Yeah.
He had to come back and explain why they were the better team now. And he was a fool to choose against.
Yeah. I tell you, I don't listen to guys in Vegas when they say put money down, but I do listen when they say this is what's going to happen in the game. If you want to make X number of dollars, here you go. Here we go again, Big C. So again, congratulations, Golden State Warriors. They ran out of vibranium, supposedly, but they realized they didn't have the real deal. They had the Similac version. They didn't have the real vibranium, but they were spraying it all over the locker room. All that stuff, them good boys are trying to say, where can we get some more of this, Big C? But they can't find it. It has to be given to you, Big C. But I want to ask you about the NBA Finals. I'm not tired of seeing LeBron James play. I don't care how many times, 8 times in a row, 8 years in a row, reaching the NBA Finals. He's the best player in the universe. Who doesn't want the best in the universe? I don't mind seeing LeBron James. I love watching Golden State because they play team basketball. Want to get your thoughts on what this means, seeing them again, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is marketability 101 for the NBA. You have the proclaimed and undoubted best player in the world,
Yeah.
in LeBron James, playing against the best team in the world, the Golden State Warriors. And this is a marketing, juggernaut for the NBA.
Yeah.
You think about it, LeBron James has played 101 games this year, Charlton. He has been, in the last 2 months, the greatest player of his career.
Yeah.
You think about that. Over the years that he's been in the NBA, over the last 2 months, he's been the greatest player of his career.
Yeah.
And there's been no equal. What he's done in the playoffs, Charlton, and the run at the end of the season to get the Cavaliers going, Charlton, after trying to get this team set. And in the last game, Charlton, he played 48 minutes. 48 minutes.
Amazing.
Didn't take a break. In 101 games, Charlton, that 101 first game, Charlton, he played 48 minutes.
Incredible.
Think about the marketing that puts forth. You're talking about the real king, the real lion.
Yeah.
There he is. Versus the Golden State Warriors, a team with potential 4 Hall of Famers. We know they got 4 All-Stars.
Yes.
But potential 4 Hall of Famers on that team, Charlton.
Isn't
that
that
can
something?
play with anybody.
Yeah.
We know what LeBron is going to do. But what is his sidekicks going to do?
Yeah.
It's almost like Woody and Toy Story. Pixar movie. Great movie, John.
Yeah. You watch a lot of cartoons, huh?
Woody ran the house.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody followed Woody.
Yes.
And so if you compare LeBron James, he's a genius. Woody was a genius in Toy Story.
Yes.
LeBron James is a genius physically and mentally.
Do you think?
And so it's a matter, are his colleagues awestruck? Will the moment be too big? We know that several of them have been there before, Charlton.
Yes.
But is the stage going to be too grand when you got to face the Warriors consecutive nights? And they didn't fare well with them in the regular season.
No, they
But on
didn't.
consecutive nights, Charlton, that onslaught, can you withstand that?
That's a very good point. And the thing that I would love to bring up about LeBron, I know people want to say, well, I mean, I hear some mainstream sports talk stations, they want to just slam him. They want to say, well, he said this, but this is what he really meant. Well, he said this, but that's what he should have said. As opposed to...
Charlton, did
Yeah.
Did they say that about Roseanne Barr?
No.
No, well, she said what she said, and she meant what she said. I think LeBron has been a grown man for a long time.
Yeah,
And so whatever has come out of his mouth, I believe wholeheartedly.
I agree.
Because he doesn't mix words. He's an activist. He's an honest man, Charlton. And you cannot take what he says and put your thoughts into it and say, this is what he means.
Well, yeah.
He means
yeah.
what he says, and he says what he means.
So why is he so slammed in a world where we only get the chance to see greatness? If you contrast him to Michael Jordan was never slammed by our media. He was never slammed. And people want to say, is LeBron better than Jordan or is Jordan better than LeBron? But LeBron, if you could think socially outside of basketball, he wasn't just a shut up and dribble guy. He did a lot more for people than Michael Jordan did. But Jordan got loved by media where you can listen to them. A lot of these mainstream stations that want his interview, they all slam him when he's not in front of their face. They don't do it when he's in front of them. They kiss on his butt. So, and he also paid homage to there was a gentleman from South America that said something about LeBron, and they had a nice little back and forth after the Boston series. I really appreciated that because a lot of the mainstream guys, it's as if they get a job to slam him. And I don't know if there's a slant to it or not, but Jordan didn't get the kind of slamming that LeBron gets, and I don't know why that is. I want to bring up one more. Yeah.
Jordan didn't have a social consciousness, Charlton.
He shut up and dribble.
That's the reason why Jordan was never slammed. He didn't have a social consciousness.
Yeah.
He did not dictate to a professional sport
Yeah.
as well as LeBron has. LeBron changed the landscape of the NBA years ago when he went to Miami. He lessened the value of a franchise. That franchise value dipped in half when he left.
Yeah.
You had a city burning his jersey, talking about him, ostracizing him, Charlton. And he was a grown man who made a grown man decision.
Yeah.
Anybody in corporate world America who makes a decision doesn't have that happen to him, Charlton. When you see people move broadcast networks, they don't have that happen to them.
No.
Because they have an opportunity to better themselves. And everybody we've seen on TV has changed broadcast networks, Shelton. They did not start where we see them at right now.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Elsewhere. But no one has slammed them for doing that, for trying to improve themselves, Shelton, or make a better legacy for themselves. LeBron James controls all of these people's thoughts.
Yeah.
What they can write an easy story on.
That's true.
And when he does not give that story to them, he makes them chase it. That's why they lambaste LeBron so much, is that, oh, he's cocky, he's arrogant. That same thing we've heard about so many minority athletes.
Yep.
He's cocky, he's arrogant. That talk still exists today about LeBron James.
Well,
LeBron James is a grown man that can make grown man decisions. He's the most endorsable athlete on the planet, Charlton.
He sure is.
He's known worldwide. His face is a moniker around the world.
Yeah.
And that bothers a lot of people, that he possesses that much power.
Yep.
And to think about it, you're a black man and people recognize you as the king.
Yep.
It's like saying Black Panther.
Yep. Same thing, Big C. And I just want people to Google what people have done for society. He's done a lot more than Tom Brady has done for anybody outside of himself, other than saying, let's go, let's go. Tom Brady's never been blasted by people other than the tuck rule and also the deflated footballs. LeBron James has never been tied to any scandal. One guy's Caucasian, they want to make him the paragon of virtue. Another guy that just keep chipping at him, and mainstream does it without being checked, but you always get checked on the Big C Sports Show. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, today in the NFL, we got our first true doctor, Laurent Duvernay-Tarrant. He's an offensive guard for the Kansas City Chiefs out of McGill University, a 4-year starter with the Chiefs. Earned his doctorate degree from McGill University in Montreal today. Now the NFL will have its first active doctor on the playing field when this season opens up, Charlton.
Well, that is very good.
Opens up 100 days from today, Charlton.
I know you knew the day right down to the minute because you got a lot of friends in Vegas. They say what happened to Vegas stays in Vegas, but we're about to find out with this NHL. I love so much about the sports universe. I'm proud of ABC for saying no to bigotry. I'm proud of all the people in this great country that celebrated Memorial Day weekend, and I'm proud of everyone that follows every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.